Hey everybody, Big Chonis here coming to you guys. About to close out our daily and our weekly and our 3-day candle as well, but I wanted to take a quick look at Bitcoin here. We're currently kind of close our day around $8,500, a little bit below it looks like here. What an amazing bounce we had earlier in today's price action. We wicked down, I'm on the BingBon exchange here, up to 17.6. Bounced all the way up to 18.6 and another $1,000 intraday move here. But we are still putting in these lower highs consistently after basically scraping the ceiling of 19K. I don't think we got there. We were definitely a couple bucks below. And ever since that chance to get above 19K, we are getting lower highs and the rejections are in place. We're going to see what has happened in this daily, 3-day, and weekly price action in today's show. Looking at our our USD available pairs, ADA and Ethereum, held up much better and were much bullish than most of our friends here. As you can see, everything else is currently in the red, some definitely stronger than others. So let's take a look at Bitcoin's price action. Remember, this is Big Chonis. Please follow me on Twitter at Big Chonis. I'm just a stone's throw away from 50,000 Twitter followers. I do really appreciate your love and support. Let's take a look at it. Look at this current daily candle here. 8 minutes left to go in our day. We're under 18.5 here. Now, we had another day where we did almost $1,000 price action sweep from the lows of 17.6 till we got back up here intraday. Actually, you can see that much more on a lower time frame chart here. How our bounce of $1,000 intraday, 17.6 all the way up to 18.6. But what's important, as I said earlier, these lower highs continue to be put in here on our spot market. And let's just acknowledge that overall, Bitcoin over 18K and holding once again is notable. Okay, but this is quite a significant candle, I feel, especially after the one that preceded it, which is one of our more tighter dojis in terms of the shape of it, and our volume kind of declining there as we continue to fit that resistance. Every time we try and get above 18.5, 18.6, we're not seeing that follow through to retest once again our current highs in this cycle of 18.9 here. Now, volume's been strong, obviously, here the last 6 minutes of our day, but more importantly, the last 6 minutes of our week. And let's take a look, and what a week it was. This is by far our strongest weekly candle in this entire uptrend, which is significant. Okay, this is our 7th week here of bullish expansion. And what's more notable, obviously, is where we currently are in the big grand scheme of things. Logarithmically speaking here, we have once again retested the area from a weekly triple resistance, right? Okay, it took us 3 weeks to top in our 2017 bull market with a high of 19,697, a high of 19,300, and then a high of 19,385, which was just a couple bucks higher than the previous week's close. So it was a 3-week topping pattern back in 2017 that brought in our bear market of 2018. Okay, and we are now on the first weekly candle where we are about to close above $18,000. So we're very rare air up here. Okay, and we can see that by our VPVR, which just shows how much limited price action we actually have up in this area. I mean, I'm not talking limit, I'm talking limit, such that there's no telling what can happen in this area here. We cannot use previous price history like we have in the past to determine the areas of major support and resistance. We can also no longer use our Fibonacci's. I mean, through the past several years, how many times have I been drawing our Fibonacci, not just from our previous all-time high down to Bitcoin, 3K, and then seeing how many times a specific interesting areas of Fibonacci expansion were tested, such as the 618 right here that literally ended our 2019 bull run right in the golden pocket. Okay. And actually, let me get that just a little lower right there. I mean, right there to the penny inside the golden pocket there, which was a pocket of about $500. And then consolidating that in where we currently are here, surpassing the surpassing the 236 once, the 618 once again with vengeance, and then breaking through, in my opinion, the last meaningful fib resistance zone, the 786 all the way up to the 84, which means that as long as we're able to hold above the 84, which is really 17.9110, we are basically right there. We are right there. There's no more running room in terms of resistance. So because of that, it's logical to assume that at this point, 20K, 19,999, and expansion above that is probably inevitable. And now, it doesn't mean we're going to hit it next week. It doesn't mean we're going to hit it tomorrow. Because we've advanced so ferociously, there's nothing wrong at this point with having a zone of consolidation and allowing Bitcoin's price action to find that support and push it to the next leg. But, this is a very big but. Let me have a sip of my Malbec here. Here's the problem. This parabolic move, and when we compare it to this one, okay, tells us a few things. It tells us we need continuous momentum and volume. Fine. We've been seeing it. We've been acquiring it. Hasn't been a problem. We also need continuation. Okay, fine. So far, we don't have any major rejections. We remember the candle here, okay, that insane red, intense upper wick candle from 13.7 to where we actually closed at 10.7, almost a $3,000 wick in that candle there. We do not have that there. That's fine. That's great for the bulls. We also can remember in 2017, we had a major upper wick. We had a entire candle that ate up that wick and intra-week put in a higher high, only to be the nut top by like $5 of the preceding candle and the ultimate high of Bitcoin for years to come, until where we currently are here. Okay, so what we're seeing signs of is two things. No meaningful rejection as of yet, okay? But also we know the fact that when we do end up topping and the buying has ebbed, that the force of the pullback can be quite ferocious. This was a $6,000 pullback. Whoa, it was a $9,000 pullback a couple of weeks later, okay? This is a $3,000 pullback. And this one was subdued more. The first one was so vicious, it took a while here to absorb that, but we ended up putting in lower lows. Okay, we don't know where this is going to end up and how much less buying pressure, more buying pressure is in the works here. Obviously, we have to keep watching. And even though there's been correlation from a bullish standpoint in terms of Bitcoin and the equity markets, the bottom line remains. The equity market continue to be bullish. Bitcoin can definitely stay bullish. If they reverse that, be very curious to see if Bitcoin can maintain that exponentiated bullishness that it has over the S&P, over the NASDAQ, or over the Dow, which is done for so long. Okay, I don't have to remind you guys how high Bitcoin is on the weekly Bollinger Band, another close above, way above. We're beginning to expand our Bollinger Bands here. Now remember the shark, the great white shark expansion we had back in 2017. Okay, we have tons of running room for sure, and we are also doing this curvature on the downside here. Let me clean the chart up here. This curvature on the downside here, similar to back here when we really started to accelerate our upward price action, similar to here when we started to accelerate our upward price action, right? So we have examples of that. The problem with what we're seeing now is, and of course, this correlated with an upper of the upper Bollinger, upper of the upper Bollinger, and of course, upper of the upper Bollinger. Okay, so we're definitely seeing that phase here. We know how exponentially Bitcoin can run and has run in the past there. So we're early in this sequence as long as this sequence holds. Okay, but we are now way above upper Bollinger. We can even see in the past here when we did do this, on the next following week, we at least came back inside intra-week, okay? Even though we put in a higher high blasting through, intra-week we were still able to bust back inside, which will now put Bitcoin somewhere around 17.4, even if it was intra-week, even if it had the advance it needed there to continue the move here. Way above EMA 1226, okay? We know the expansion of this incredible bullish move here. And more importantly, we're beginning to see the separation of our 12 and 26 pretty much surpassing our 2019 bull market, okay? And getting closer to, you know, the mid to halfway point of our 2017 bull market, because we can see how exponentially wide these were and how currently they are here. Maybe half, maybe 55% it feels like. Okay, so we've surpassed this by, it looks like, over 100% of the width, the spread, and we still have running room if we want to compare it to our 2017 bull market. So this could be even eclipsing that, or it could be just, you know, better than 19 but worse than 17, something kind of in the middle. And until we get the rollover, you know, the bulls still have significant control and running room in all that space. We are still way above any meaningful, again, this on the weekly chart, because we're closing out the weekly chart right now. Just close it out, done. Okay, so far above, you know, $18,000 above our MA50. Okay, which is significantly higher, obviously, than what we experience here. Well, I shouldn't say that. From our MA50 to our highs here, about $8,000. It's interesting. MA50 to our highs here, about $8,000. That's not bad. Where were we at the peak to peak here, though? $15,000. So that's the expanse of the MA50, you know, from our current price action. It is notable that we've surpassed, as I said, our 2019 bull market, but are at least equal to that phase all around. And note the percentages are much lower, okay? From the width here, 380%, 140, 86%, okay? Same distance from a dollar amount, because the MA50 is so much higher now than it was back in July. Okay, we have a lower percentage value. Ichimoku. Now this is, again, just fascinating here. Okay, so we know we've blasted through. We know we're creating a very supportive bullish Kumo twist here that's expanding and providing support. Okay, but we still have this trough. Now, this trough has remained irrelevant, of course, back here. The expansion of this, which didn't really necessarily need that. It had to have that back test or using as support until much later in the bear market here. Okay, so right now our weekly Ichimoku, it's kind of useless just because of how high the price currently is above all of our meaningful indicators. You know, lower time frames, it definitely has value, but I can't give you much on this here. Once we were breaking through our cloud after the first failed attempt, closed above it, came back into it. Once that blast happened, that was it. From a sequential standpoint, you know, on our weekly, we've just started our 9. Okay, now this would be an amazing topping pattern here if we do actually close out our current week, which just started on this 9. Which would mean we want to put in a higher high with a perfected candle and get something that looks like a reversal. Whether it's a very long legged doji, or a spinning top, or some side of a gravestone, or just a very long upper wick with a very red candle here. we either hit a perfected 9, or we can do even a bleeding 9, which takes even a couple more candles afterwards to that. But I know this is significant there, hitting a 9 on the weekly. It did represent past time here, a 1 to 4 candle correction, okay? And then prior to that, it never really has been meaning meaningfulness from tops, etc. But hey, it's been a while since we've had a meaningful top on a weekly 9, but potentially this could be that week. And it's going to be a very interesting week because of the holiday Thanksgiving. We have a shorter week in the equity markets as well. I didn't want to do too much of a long show here just because I wanted to emphasize a couple things. Bitcoin, even though we had some volatility in our overall weekly and daily candles, we are still very bullish here. It's hard to argue with what we've seen here in our price action because we are so significantly above all meaningful EMAs, MAs, Ichimokus. We're in the upper range of most of our indicators, our RSIs, our stochastics, our token money flows, our unbalanced volumes, everything is just screaming like it's not ready to give up just yet, still continuing this triple resistance here, but still in a flagging consolidation with a very bullish 79 on the daily RSI here. Yes, altcoins have been tremendously powerful. Ethereum busting through new highs here, Litecoin as well. And we can see that very clearly on our Bitcoin dominance chart. Unfortunately, TradingView has some bad data on the daily, but the 12-hour really just show what just has happened here is we had a Bitcoin dominance top off at 67 and a bleed out into altcoins, which has been significant. That's why we've been seeing our tremendous moves in altcoins over the past couple days here, specifically in coins like Link, XRP. Obviously, XRP, tremendous move in yesterday's price action here, able to bust through the 30-cent range, especially on the USDT pairing, and just break into quite an interesting area of consolidation that we've been watching to see basically if it could hold in the overall price action. Because what's been interesting is even with Bitcoin's little pullback today, Ripple has basically consolidated quite nicely here and didn't have much of a negative divergence of any specificness in our price action here. ADA, another one here that really had a nice move in our chart here, consolidating in the area about 10 cents for quite a long time here, and is now having that breakout move just over the past couple of days here, and again obviously showing that in the Bitcoin dominance chart. The big move in Ethereum here was pretty epic. Tremendous move here, but we have to acknowledge a couple things and what we actually touched on our daily candle here, being able to hit this triple resistance line. Basically started back in February when it hit 283 and then 485 and then 563, and frankly, even though we're hitting this line in the sand here, it wouldn't be surprising me if we were able to gain a little higher here. We can zoom out to our higher time frame, just kind of see where we overall are in the context. And really this kind of area here was a major, like $600 here was a major area of support. We went from 600 to almost $1,000, blasted through it, came back up above it, hovered around here, and that $600 resistance has held for years. So that's good. Can we go higher in ETH? Yes. Is ETH 2.0 really facilitating a lot of this? Yes. Look at the LBV in ETH. It's just exponentially moving higher here. Okay. We're getting to our upper range here in our stoke, but have room to run. And we're not really overbought yet, even in our 3-day here. We can see what overbought definitely means here. And there's running room, okay, for Ethereum here. And the bleed out in alts, the bleed out in Bitcoin dominance 2 alts can persist, with Ethereum pretty much leading the way. So I'm probably going to wrap it up there. New week in Bitcoin price action here. It's still hard to argue that there's anything notably bearish about what we've achieved here. We've started another 3-day candle. Green was this 10 in a row, 12 in a row, 13 I think. We've done 19. historically in Bitcoin price action. So this is definitely unbelievable, but not necessarily unprecedented. Okay. What's also notable is that we've been able to achieve, from an extension standpoint, just of our very first move here, we're now hovering above the 1-to-1 extension, which was $8,300. And as long as we continue to do so, we can then continue to extend our potential targets up here to our 236, which would be $20,000 and 300, and that would be basically the next move that would put Bitcoin above 20K, break the all-time high, and achieve that 1.236 extension here from this year's lows, which is slightly different from an overall extension of our current lows back to our slightly higher high. As you can see, the 1382 is right where we are hitting that resistance, 18,540. Okay, so which line in the sand is it? How much more meaningful is this rejection of the 1382? Okay, or do we have in mind here that we're going to go straight to the 1618 of the extension here, which will put us at $21,000? There's nothing that says this can't happen, but the one thing that does say it can't happen is the U.S. equity markets, and it looks like they have opened slightly, I don't know, flat. We'll call it a flat. Basically, no big gap up, no big gap down, pretty much where we left it on Friday's price action. So, very interesting week of Bitcoin is ahead of us. Okay, we're seeing a little bit of the bearishness that we haven't seen in a little bit of time here, but that's not crazy to think because of how far we've come, because of the expanse of our parabola here. Any dips that continue to get bought up, this should continue to expand at the same exponential rate. If not, then I'd be very curious to see where we end up falling. Dips are for buying until proven otherwise, but let's face it here, we are still so far above from our next meaningful area of stop and reverse. Really is kind of 16.5 with more or less a bottom out at, let's call it 16, and then after 16, we're talking somewhere around, I don't know, basically in the 14s and 15s. There's definitely notable supports and buyers in the overall market here. So we're still have areas where we could see Bitcoin playing out, but anything above 18K, let's just face it here, this dip got bought up very well in the mid 1600s. Okay, we have now our defined area where we know our support on the previous week's support held. And that's our defining kind of line in the sand to keep the momentum going. Guys, please give me a thumbs up if you enjoy my content here. Please hit me a thumbs up on Twitter and support me on Twitter. About to hit that 50,000 follower mark. Very excited about that. If you guys are interested in doing some leverage trading, please check out BingBon. Here's my invite code right here, as well as in the text of our YouTube channel here. We're doing a bunch of shows heading into next week's price action because I assume there'll be lots of stuff to talk about. Until then, Big Chonis, have a great week. Stay safe. Always opportunities every day. If you miss this one, wait for the next one. There's always a next one. There's always a good setup. Just be patient. Plenty of time to trade and take your advance. Talk to you soon. Big Chonis, peace.